Dear all, welcome back. Good afternoon to everyone. Now we will proceed the second session without delay. One important thing, the link for the feedback form will be circulated at the end of this session. So those who are attending a session who has to fill the feedback form, so we can send you the e-certificate. Thank you. So over to you again, Hemlata.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I had given you a floating button. I hope you have finished that because we were going to implement that in the further implementation. So we were going to integrate that in the further implementation. That is the reason I gave you that. So here is the changes that I have made in my project. So I've added the floating button, and here I have created another button that is a view email. Currently this button is not doing anything because the logic will implement it together, and this button is implementing the page. So now if anyone has not implemented this floating button action, you can just below the app bar property or below the body property, you can add this floating button action, and the rest of the logic remains same. We are going to on the on press property, we are going to create a function, and we'll do a set state function. We'll call this function over here. Inside this we will make another function, and in this function we are going to implement this value. So here, why do we require this set state? What does this actually do? So whenever our button is clicked, this particular button is clicked, what happens is this set state will invoke this build widget. So that is the reason it is again going to what we say, render this complete scaffold widget that we are returning in this build widget. So it is returning all the things that we have written in the scaffold on invoking this set state. So that is what is happening here. Now the next thing we are trying to implement is navigation. So till now we were just implementing one page, this one design layout. Now suppose we have multiple pages, as in normal Android app we do have multiple pages. So how are we going to navigate among those pages? So that is the thing we are going to see. So before starting that, let us just understand what is going to be used in navigation. So here I have created a variable student of type map. Now map always takes variables in values in key value pair. So we have a key name, we have a value John, we have a key age, and a value 25. So these values are not bind or bound to one single data type. You can give another variable with a boolean value, so it will accept that. And then how are we going to access these keys over here, or the values that are set to these particular keys? Is we are just going to print in the print statement, we are just going to write student variable name and the key that we want to print. So after executing this, you can see we can see the values of the keys. Now why we have learned this is because now when we are going to implement the routing, at that time we have to give some key and value pairs in the we have to map this in the root. So whenever a particular key is called, that routing should take place. So that is why we have learned this map. Now what we are going to do is just remove all these, because we are going to create another dart file and we will store all these things in another dart file. So let me just quickly cut it. Main method will remain as it is in the project structure. Now everything is in lib, so I'm just going to create another file in lib, and that file would be dart file. So let's create a dart file, say details dot dart, it will automatically append the extension. So, or I would suggest let's create another directory and put this file inside that. So let's create a details directory and put this file inside this. All right. So here I'm going to paste my code that I have cut from the main file, and also I'm going to import the package that we were importing over here because the scaffold and all the other widgets that we are using requires this package. So now this is done for the details dot dart, and here it shows details dot card. It will show this because we are not having the details class over here, so obviously it is not going to work. We will have to remove this. In fact, this complete thing we will remove it. And here we are going to maintain the root, and this root is map type. So here now my initial page will be this details card. So my initial routing page will be this. I can just give a slash over here, and here I will have to create an object of this details card. But how am I going to use this? Like if I directly uh, write this over here, how do we write that? We create a function context, and we will use an arrow function over here, and this. In this way we are going to create. It is still giving me this red line. Why so? Because obviously I'm not having this class on this particular page. So I'm going to have to import this particular package which is in the details. So how do we do that? Package, and it is inside uh, details. We won't get details over here, I guess. Project name will have to mention first. So yes, it suggested me details, and in the details we have details card. Dot, sorry, it is the file name, and my file name is details dot dart, not details card. Now this error is gone. Okay. So it is just testing error. We'll just see this later on. And then we are going to create another Dart file over here. So let's create another Dart file. And let's call it personal information. So we'll have to import this package again because whatever we write over there will need this package. And by right, we can directly make a shortcut stateless widgets, and it will create it automatically. And now we can get the name personal information. So okay, now here we are going to return something. So what are we going to return? Let's reuse some of the code so that we don't spend much time over there. So let's make a scaffold first, and we'll only cut and paste whatever is required, or copy paste whatever is required. So here background color, I do want to maintain app bar. Yes, I want it. Floating button action, let's see, I don't require it right now. So let's paste this thing first, app bar, and the title of the app bar will now change to personal information. Alright, what else do we have over here? Okay, I will require this circle avatar again over here. So let's make a body first and create a padding. I'm taking the avatar and the divider, but I'll also have to match the closed parentheses because I have not taken the complete code, and it will just give me these errors if I don't match the parentheses. So here is my column closing. Okay, let's arrange everything. So let's save this and let's see what issues it is telling. Expected to find this on line number 33. So I think we are missing something over here, which is the scaffold parentheses. Alright, now the error has gone. Okay, now what do we want to do over here is, now I have another Dart file over here. I'll also mention this Dart file over here, and using this import package Flutter, which is the project name, demo app, and inside this details and personal information.dart. Now I'm going to create another key which will be denoted by, say, view personal information, and we'll make this arrow function over here again, and we will call the class which is personal information. Okay, so we have two classes in place, and I missed a semicolon over here. So I have got this thing over here. Now what I'm telling is, whenever my application will start, my initial page is this, because this is the root, and then there would be this key I have generated. So somewhere I'm going to use this key to navigate to another page, and that another page is personal information. I still don't know how this page looks like because we have not seen the output. I've just created the output by borrowing text from the details.dart. So what we are going to do over here is I have created this view email button which at present does nothing, and on click of this button I want to navigate to another page. So here in details.dart, let's find out where is this button. Um, okay, so here we have it on pressed. Now for navigating to another page, there is something called navigator dot push name. So here we have this push name, and here we have to pass the context. So the context we will pass it as matlab keyword context only we are going to use. And for root name we have to use this whatever key you have created. So this key will be used for routing. Where did it go? Here it is. Okay. So this is done, and okay, this should have a semicolon at the end because it is inside a function, and we will run it again. So let's see whether it is working. If it doesn't, we'll have to hot restart the complete application. So it is not okay. Okay, it came to this. Okay, so it worked without clicking on hot restart. Now what things I have to show over here? Now on this we have already mentioned the circle avatar and the divider over here. So I need to show some more things over here. So what I'm going to see show over here is just an email, because I created a button to view the email. So I'm just going to show an email over here. So I'm going to, this is my column widget. So I can just add another widget in this list, the list that we are using over here. So at the end of the list, I'm going to create another widget, which will be text, which will contain the email that we gave in the front page, and some text styling. Colors to the text, which will be blue accent. Okay, let's see how it looks. Okay, so here we have, I can also make it bold. So we'll just add this config.bold. So we have successfully navigated to this next page. Now again we have to move back to the first page. So if we use a app bar over here, it is recommended to use the app bar, because when there is navigation performed, this app bar will automatically have this icon over here to navigate back to the first page. So we can remove the app bar from this page. It won't really affect the application, because we are not navigating back to any other page from here. But when we have navigated from the home page to some other page, it is recommended to use the app bar, as we will not have to create this functionality again to navigate back to the home page. Now, how does this layouts and all these pages work? is uh, it will create this home page layout, and then when we click on this, it will push the home page behind this personal information page. So what it is actually doing is it is stacking up all the other layouts. That suppose let's suppose we create another page and we give a button over here to navigate to the third page. So two pages will be pushed down below the stack and another page will come on the top. So that is the reason when we go back, it just pops out that particular layout from the stack and we can see the home page again. Now this is how my application works. Now let's suppose that I have already completed my home page and I want to work on a second or a third page, but anytime I run the app, it will always come to home page and then I have to click on another navigation button or whatever navigation tool that I'm giving to the user. I have to click on that and only then I'll be able to go to the next page and I'll be able to see the output. So I don't want that. I just want that whenever I'm developing the code, at that time when I'm testing what output it will give me, I want that particular page to load first and not the home page. So at how can I achieve that? So we have a property over here which is called initial route, and here I'll just give my another page that I have to route to. So if I want to route to this page, I'll just give this key over here and let's save this. Now this is not going like I'm not going to understand whether this has been implemented or not, because let's see, I have made some changes over here. um, I've given this null and saved it. So what it is doing is it is just reloading the page and it is not starting the page. Now my application is already in some state, like some page is open and it is already open. It is not closing the application and opening it. That is the reason I'm not getting this personal information page right at the start when I'm saving the file. So for that, we can just do hot restart. So it will now restart the app and now the initial root has been changed to the personal information. So now we have the personal information page at the starting. Now my home page still remains the same, which is the details card. My home page is still the same, but temporarily I have set the initial route to this particular thing. So whenever I'm making changes over here, now my app is already loaded. It is, I don't need to restart the app again and again, and I can just keep on adding more and more widgets and I'll be able to see the output using the hot reload. Is everyone following up? Okay. Okay. Now, what is the life cycle of a particular widget? So, any particular widget goes through three steps. So, first is the init state, where the state is initialized, and then um, uh, what is the name of that state? Build, sorry. So second is the build and the last one is the dispose. So first is any state when you are starting an application or you are navigating to any particular page, the very first function that will be called is the init state. Then the build, this particular build method will be executed, and then it will be disposed of when we close the page or close the application. So let's see an example of this thing. Let's convert this to stateful widget. Okay. Now, what you can do is we will see how the state is getting initialized. So let's write init state and press tab. Now it is all using super.init state. So what there is some method, it is already using that method. Now how are we going to know whether this state is actually getting executed first, because we cannot see any difference in the output, nor are we getting any messages over here. So how are we going to see that what executed first, whether init state or whether build? So we are just going to print a statement to get a clear idea. So here we will say initial state ran, and then here before returning we can print a statement which says build function running. So let's save this. Okay, now it says reload not performed. Why it says that is because init state is only called once when the page is loaded, while the build method can be called multiple times. So the reason we use stateful widgets is because we can call the state build method multiple times because the value changes over time. So here we can see build function running any number of time. I save this. If I say running x number of times, I'll just get the message build from this build function and not from the init state, because this has already been initialized and it gets initialized only once. So how can we get the output of this particular statement over here is just we are going to restart the app. So it is going to close the application and start it again. The page will be loaded again and init state will be run once and then the build function. So here we get build function running x number of times and initial state only one time. Now if I make any changes over here again, so let's remove this x number of times and we'll get build function running and not the initial state. So this is how this works. If I close this page, my dispose function will get executed, but there is we cannot see that because it is already disposed. So again we will open this, again we will get initial state ran and then build function running. So this is how we can see the life cycle of the particular widget. Then there are a few things. So like we are going to implement uh, asynchronous functions. If you all are aware about the asynchronous functions, we have the same functionality even in JavaScript. So that is async await. What these functions are actually useful for is, suppose we have something that is executing on the screen, but it takes some particular time to execute that, and we need to process the code that is written for after that particular piece of code. So it is going to wait until that particular function has finished, and we don't want that because it has no dependency. So let's suppose we are using some API or some service, and we are going to get some data from there, and we have to load a page which is having no dependency on the services that we are consuming. So why must the page stop loading or wait for the services to return some value and only then load the page? So what we can do over here is we are just going to declare that this particular function is an asynchronous function, and in that way we are telling the Flutter application that this is a asynchronous piece of code. You do not need to wait for it to return any particular output, and you can just execute whatever is written below that. So let's see an example of that too over here. So we are going to create a function. Now I have, sorry, dot delete. Wait for, okay, it's not folder, it's future dot delayed, and it will take a parameter which is the duration, and we will give duration as seconds, and let's say wait for 3 seconds, and we are going to call this function in the init state, or let's say build state, because that would be giving a more clear idea. So let's call this function get details over here, and we are creating another function over here. So this function, in this function, what are we going to do is we are going to just print a statement. So what are we going to print over here? That let's say the name of the particular person. So name is John Doe. So this is done over here, and now we are going to load. Now we have given a delayed duration. So what happens over here is, what we are telling is, we are calling this function in the build, but this function will get executed, whatever code is written inside this function will execute after 3 seconds. Okay, and we are also we are also displaying some layout on this page which is not dependent on this particular function, because we are not getting any value from this which is used in this particular thing. So why wait for this particular method to get what we say, to get executed completely, and then display the layout. So for this, what we can do is, we will add a keyword over here, async, and then we will, okay, and here build function running. After the build function is running, we will have to wait for 3 seconds, and only then we will get our name, whatever the function is written, whatever we are returning from this function. So this will appear after 3 seconds. To like make it more clear, we can make it 5 seconds and build again. So our layout is already there, and this is going to wait for 5 seconds and then display the details. Now let's make another thing, similar function over here, but let's make the duration lesser than the previous one. And here we are going to give some address of this particular person, which is this. Now the code that I have written, initially I'm telling it to wait for 5 seconds, and then I'm telling it to wait for 2 seconds. So what should be printed first, the address or the name? So that we are going to see over here. So since we have already specified over here that it is an asynchronous function, so it is not going to wait for this particular line of code to get executed, and it will directly come on the next line. So this has a duration of 2 seconds. So after 2 seconds, it printed this address first and then the name. Now let's suppose that this particular function is having some dependency on this. At that time, what can we do to not let it execute first, because we are getting some parameters in here from this function? So what we will do is, we will say it to wait using keyword await, and then this will remain as it is as of now, because no more dependencies are there on this function. So now after 5 seconds, name will be printed, and after 2 seconds address will be printed. So what we are telling is, this is an asynchronous function, but you have to wait the further execution till this is complete. So any further execution will be done only after this is complete. We can like also save this in some particular string. So like we can make a string over here and give the name as this. Now we should return it, because if we want to save in a particular variable, we have to return something. So instead of print, we will return this. And here we have this name. Where did the name go? Okay, we are just returning it. We are not printing it anywhere yet. So we have the value of this particular whatever string is returned over here in this name, and we have this. So let's now print this variable. So how are we going to print it? So using the dollar sign and run it again. So now we have got the John Doe first, because we set it to await. That is the reason it waited the further execution till this. Now again, if we follow the same thing over here, that we are going to save this particular thing in another variable named address, and we will return this string from here. And let's see what will happen if we are not waiting for this particular line of code to complete, and we are directly uh, printing the address variable. So we have not yet set it to await, and we are directly using this over here. So it already shows this particular red line, scribbly line below the line of code. Why? Because this I'm telling over here to wait for 2 seconds, but I'm also telling this particular print function to execute without waiting for this function to get completed. So here I'll have to again add a wait function, and now everything will work fine. So here we have the name and address. Now you can, I showed you this example because mostly it can be used for the APIs, when the APIs are returning something and like we are consuming any web services, and we do not want to wait for the further process, or we do want to wait for some process to execute, and only then that the dependent process can be executed. So this is the way we can do it. So these are the basics beginner level Flutter classes. So I think I'm done with the session, and if you have any queries, you can ask.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So we have almost done with the second session as well. because a lot of things will be covered in the first session, and so these are the some few things will be left behind, so that the Hindutva will be going to complete, so that she is completed. And if you are having any doubt or any queries, please, all the queries are welcome. Okay, so please, one by one you can ask your queries. We will put it to the Hemlata, and she will answer the queries. Okay, Harshada, can you please put the query on the chat?
How to define root key? I think we have already seen it in the implementation itself. It is a property. Okay, so we are just giving what we say, a map to the roots property that we are using. We are just giving the keys and values to that particular roots property. So it expects the map data type. So that is why we are giving the keys and values, and whatever keys we are specifying, those keys we can use to in the other pages to navigate to those pages. See, I have never, I think I would not be the correct person to ask this navigator.push and navigator.push name, because I have not used navigator.push anywhere yet, but I have used navigator.push name, which I know for sure that it is used for navigation purpose. We also have navigation.push replacement name, which what I explained is whenever you navigate to another page, it creates a stack. So whatever is the home page or whatever the previous page you were on, it will just push that particular page below the new page that you have requested for. So when you use the push replacement name, what happens is it will not push that previous page into the stack, and it will just replace that particular things. Now, why that is used, that I can explain, is because sometimes we have very long navigations, like from home page to contacts to about page to some other page, and then again there is a link to home page. So there is no, it makes no sense to push the home page again on the top of the stack, since we already have it. So we can just replace it instead of pushing it on the top of the stack.
Any more questions?
Uh, Also, someone asked me the what is better, Flutter and React, which I found out in the break, and I was pretty much on point, because what I have researched earlier was that Flutter is faster than React and Xamarin and other combo, what we say, cross-platform SDKs as well, because Flutter is giving the highest CPU usage and better performance and everything. So I have found out some categories through which, like, we can compare that Flutter is actually better than React. So performance wise, yes, Flutter is better than React. UI and graphics wise, both are almost equal, but compatibility and features wise, Flutter is better. So overall, you can make out that Flutter is better than React.
I'm really sorry. I think myself is mute. So I'm repeating again. Thank you so much, Hemlata. You have conducted a very nice session, and whatever the topics will be covered in the Flutter, that will be very nice covered. And if from my side, if I'm going to start with the Flutter, that is the very good opportunity to see this video and the YouTubes, and I will definitely going to implement this all very much easier part. Okay, so thank you once again to find your precious time to conduct this webinar. Okay, Shloka, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so this has been very wonderful session. First and foremost, I would like to thank our special guest, Miss Hemlata Badwal, for conducting the webinar and sharing your knowledge. I hope that we will get to know more from you in the future. We are grateful to our management, led Sri Vishnu Aman Thakur Charitable Trust, Viva Institute of Technology, for making this possible. I would like to extend our thanks to the respected principal, Sir Dr. Arun Kumar, and Professor Chani Patel ma'am, MCA coordinator, course coordinator. My sincere thanks to our webinar coordinator, Professor Nitesh Kumar, and faculty members of MCA department for managing and making this session wonderful. My heartiest thanks to my teammates, Ms. Harshada Kamble, Mr. Chirag Shah, and including myself. Last but not the least, I thank all our beloved participants who gave your precious time and attend the webinar throughout the sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Hemlata. You can leave the session. We will wait for 5 minutes because we have just shared the link so that everyone can apply for the link. Thank you,
Okay.
Amrita. Thank you so much.
Welcome, sir. I'll share some links for the documentation, like people can go through because it has a very
Sure.
nice explanation about all the packages that we have used. So I think that will be very much useful.
Definitely, definitely you can share so that.
So I can I share it in the comment box because I don't see anything to write the
Yes, sure,
comment.
sure. Yes, yes. You just share on the comment box. Harshada will share on the chat box.
Okay. So these are the two links and one more material.io, which we have used extensively in our project. So these three links, people can just check out what all components and widgets are available, and you can develop your own Flutter application from now.
Harshada, you can just copy and paste over there. Three different links will be shared by the Amrita. Okay, so we have shared the link on that chat box, so everyone can copy and paste over somewhere so that it will be helpful for your future. Thank you, Amrita. Thank you so much. Guys, we will stay for a
Well,
minute. Yeah, thank you.
I'll take leave
Yes,
now.
please, 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 please. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we will stop here. I think all of them are copied and applied for that session. So thank you once again to all the participants. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.